If you're anything like me, you love having a little bit of greenery in your home, but it can be difficult to maintain their happiness and health. Everything from watering to the right lighting conditions, humidity, all that plays a factor in keeping these things looking their best. So today we're going to be taking a look at all the automations, integrations that I have put together that help me take care of the plants in my home, so you hopefully never kill a plant again. One of the most challenging aspects of taking care of plants is arguably making sure they have enough water and making sure that you don't overwater them. So to help me with that, I've got these EcoWit sensors that I have sprinkled throughout the home and on the plants. And they go to a depth about maybe 3.5 inches, which is really the perfect depth to be able to judge whether a plant needs more water or not. Typically they say, 2 or 3 inches down. If it feels dry, you should go to water it. I think I've probably killed more plants overwatering than anything else, and this really prevents that from happening. I won't water anything if it's not below 20%, and I also have AI and Lorelai who can warn me when there's plants that dip below a certain threshold. I do have a variety of plants. I've got an olive tree, which likes it particularly dry, and I have some ficus trees that like it more on the wet side. So I do have some individual thresholds as I've set up for specific plants, but all in all, this is just a great way to keep tabs on things. And I don't think I've killed or harmed a plant due to under or over watering since I've got this system in place. One tricky thing to get right are lighting conditions. It always helps to do some research about the plants that you have. Most plants like to be near a window, a south-facing window if possible, and plants vary in what they prefer, bright light, indirect light. So make sure you're looking up the ideal conditions for your plant. But in a situation like this, where I've got a cluster of plants by this window in my bedroom, we don't always want this window open all the time. And honestly, sometimes I forget to open the blinds for the plant and then also remember to close them in the evening before we go to bed. So I installed the SwitchBot Blind Tilt, which is a retrofit solution for any generic type of blind that uses these tilt wands. It was not the easiest installation. I'm not going to go over that in this video. I'll put a link in the description below for a video that I used to help me install it. But for the most part, it does what I need. Basically, an hour after sunrise in the morning, this will open up, and then an hour before sunset, it closes. But I have some redundancy set up so that if an hour after sunrise, it fails because of any conditions, it will try again in an hour and keep trying that till maybe 1 p.m. And usually somewhere in that window, the window will open. Typically it opens on the first trigger, but if my wife or I are sleeping in, we don't want the window opening up and disrupting that very much needed rest. Another really great use for Home Assistant is with the small greenhouse. So I've got some pretty delicate plants like this lemon tree here that need specific conditions even through the winter time. And having a greenhouse like this allows for that, but it's also something that you have to keep in mind to regulate. It's another plant to water. And something like this also needs some other things regulated, like humidity and at least 6 to 8 hours of light. And all these things can be typically automated with smart plugs and some otherwise dumb technology. So for example, here I have a heating pad at the bottom of the greenhouse. It's actually meant for pets, but it provides just enough ambient warmth that kind of collects in the greenhouse, not to get it too hot. Lemon and lime trees, they still go through a dormant period. They don't need to be in intense, hot, humid weather, just a little bit above what the basement here allows for typically. So the basement on average is about 50 degrees, 55 degrees maybe. And I like to keep inside here in the mid 60s and the humidity around 50 or 60%. Whereas in the basement in the wintertime, the humidity is closer to 20 or 30%. Now to regulate the humidity, I have a ultrasonic humidifier. I stuck one of those in a bowl, but that was actually making the humidity too high. I found that honestly, just having a bowl of water in here keeps the humidity where I need it to be. So I still have that connected, I can boost the humidity in here. So if the humidity drops too low, that will flick on and it will very quickly boost the humidity in here. I will say though that these can be a little risky. You want to make sure that you're monitoring the water level. If it gets too low, there's no auto shut off. And if those things run dry, they can potentially be a fire hazard. So there's other ways you can automate that by having, like, let's say a bobber, or they also make sensors that you can stick on the outside of the container to discern how much water there is. But that's just an extra complication and extra risk. And like I said, just having a bowl of water in here seemed to be enough. But you could take it an extra level if you wanted to with a humidifier. They do make humidifiers with auto off, auto shut offs. You know, this was under $10 of a solution. You could spend $30, $40, $100 and get much more high-end humidifiers.
But this was a fun experiment, and it does indeed work.
So we've taken a look at the hardware on the home centered around plant care, but what really brings it all together is Home Assistant and its automations and dashboards.
So first of all, on the hardware side, let's take a closer look at some of the things we talked about today. So the soil moisture sensors from EchoIt, you can get them from Amazon, AliExpress, all the usual suspects. Here is the base that you will need with the EchoIt soil moisture sensors. There are a lot of options for these though. I went with these because I already had this EchoIt hub that I'm using for some other sensors. So it was kind of a no-brainer. I got a bunch of these on sale. They were $12 a piece when I got them. I got all 8 at the same time. Looking back, the maximum sensors you can have of these on one of these hubs is only 8. And I thought that would be enough, but nothing is ever enough when it comes to home automation. So I've already outgrown that. I am now looking at some Bluetooth options, since I do have Bluetooth proxies all over the home. And these would have far less limitations, wouldn't need a hub. So I will start experimenting with these on AliExpress. Something that also takes advantage of Bluetooth proxies is the SwitchBot blind tilt that we have. So you can use this with the SwitchBot app and their cloud, or you can set it up totally locally just using the Bluetooth proxy. It is a little bit large, but if you've got some decent window treatments, you can hide most of this. I was afraid it would be an eyesore, but it's really not once you set it up. And then moving on from there, this is the greenhouse that we saw. All of these I'll drop links in the description below. But this is a nice, moderate, on the small side, but if you've got a few plants you need to take care of, this is a great starter greenhouse. And then to control all of the things within the greenhouse, my choice for smart plugs are these Third Reality Zigbee plugs. If you don't have a Zigbee network in your home, these won't work for you. But I do prefer Zigbee over some of the other options. I'm trying to keep the Wi-Fi devices to a minimum because I have been getting some Wi-Fi congestion as I've increased the amount of IoT devices on my network. Now let's take a look at the integrations that power all of this stuff. So we go to integrations. You can see here is the EchoIt integration, and this is a native integration. This does not require hacks. It's got all of the different sensors that I have attached or connected to that base. Weather sensors, I've got a CO2 monitor, the greenhouse humidity and temperature, that is also an EchoIt sensor. So it's a pretty good hub to have if you feel like you may expand into other things. In the summertime, I also have a pool temperature sensor. It's basically a probe that dips down into the skimmer that reports back pool temps. But if you're just doing this for soil monitoring, I would explore another option, perhaps these Flora from Xiaomi. Those might be a better option for you. And then we've got SwitchBot for the blinds. And now this is the SwitchBot Bluetooth integration, which is totally local, which is really, really nice. Does not require the SwitchBot cloud, and it's instantaneous. As soon as that integration fires or I hit the button to open the blinds, they open up.
All right, so now that we've taken a look at all the hardware centered around plant care, let's look at what really makes it special and brings it all home. Dashboards, its automations. If we take a look at my plant dashboard, we can see a visual of everything we looked at today. So here's the greenhouse, the temperature, humidity, soil moisture, and I need to water the lemon tree. It's below 20%. And here's all the other plants. It's all listed out here. And I also can talk to Lorelai through here, my AI assistant, and ask her things. So I can open up Assist and say, hey, Lorelai, how's it going? I'm just curious how the indoor plants are doing today.
The soil moisture levels for the indoor plants are as follows. Foyer palm, 16%. Dining room bromeliad, 47%.
Thanks for that. Do you think the bromeliad will be okay with a higher moisture level?
Yes, bromeliads can handle a bit more moisture. They like humidity and damp soil, as long as it drains well to avoid root rot. Just keep an eye on it.
So this is an example where I got the information I wanted, and I can also follow up and ask questions. Right now, Lorelai is powered by OpenAI and ChatGPT, but I do have a goal this year to get a locally hosted LLM going, maybe on a Mac Mini. Haven't fully decided on the hardware yet, but it's definitely a goal to get out of the cloud and localize my AI. All right, well, that pretty much wraps up the tour of my plant care automations and everything I've got wrapped up in that with Home Assistant. If you want to see more content like this, drop it down in a comment. Let me know what you want to see. Get subscribed, hit the bell, all that good stuff. I'm pretty new to this, but I do plan on putting a lot of content out there. I've got a lot of ideas, and I do want to make these videos really high quality. So got a lot of stuff planned for the rest of the month. Probably do some more plant stuff in the spring. I've got some lighting videos coming up, my top 5 automations, my favorite dashboards, some AI stuff. Really, I'm going to go all over the place. But again, I am looking to you guys to let me know what you want to see. So again, get subscribed, hit the bell, and see you in the next one.